Well, that's a Blue Jays loss. I mean, coming off of a 5-game win streak, I expected more, but Bowden Francis on the hill, I sort of thought this might be a little bit of a scheduled loss, Carter, and sure enough, this team, I mean, just struggled, especially in that first inning. We'll talk about it all, plus a ton of injury updates today, and it was just a weird day in baseball.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, wherever Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money and use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. As always, I'm Braden Iwasco. He's Carter First. You can find us on Twitter, Braden5 Iwasco. Carter First, too, as well, on our main account at Locked On Jays. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Locked On Blue Jays. And if you're new here to YouTube or listening anywhere else, make sure you head over to the YouTube page and hit the subscribe button there. It's free. You might as well do it. You guys, we've sort of been seeing some of you guys trickle in, but it really does help out. And you might as well do it since, it is free. And you get your podcast, your shorts, your live streams, your videos, the whole ordeal right there on YouTube. Lot to get into today. Bowden Francis is struggling. We got to talk about that. Addison Barger is an absolute dog, and I love to see it. The return of Schneider hits the home run today. I'm going to do this just early on because I can get a little bit of excitement out for him being back. Let's go, baby. Schneider home run. There you go. It's out of my system now. I'm just happy to see him hit a home run. It was great. A lot more to get into. There's some stuff that we have to talk about on injuries. Max Scherzer, Spencer Turnbull. We got to talk about. And one thing I'm going to wait to bring up to Carter because he's going to find it hilarious, I'm sure. So we'll talk about that later on in the show as well. Bowden Francis, Carter. That's the storyline of today.
Yeah, you can't win a baseball game when you give up 6 runs in the first inning. That's never going to be a recipe of success. The biggest thing for Bowden Francis and our fifth starter, whether that's a combination of Eric Lauer, Easton Lucas, everyone in the bullpen, doesn't really matter. But for those 2 starts, you just want to give your team a chance to win. You don't do that with the start that you got from Bowden Francis. You had a 4-pitch walk to Bryson Stott. Right there, you can tell. All right, the alarm bells were going off for me immediately. Right in this start, I'm like, oh no. This might be atypical, like the Phillies come into town. They're, struggling a little bit. Let's figure it out against the Toronto Blue Jays. And obviously when you have Bowden Francis on the mound, who has not been very good this season, things went bad pretty quickly. Obviously, Trey Turner home run, Bryce Harper home run. It's 3-0 very early on. Bowden Francis just struggling with command. That's going to be one of his biggest things. When he was good last season in that back end of the stretch, he's on the block consistently. He's picking corners. He's mixing his pitches very well. Now with Bowden Francis, it's either like it's right over the plate. He catches so much of the play, whether it's on the inside part, the outside part, or he has an uncompetitive pitch. So it's either like a very hittable pitch or a non-hittable pitch. So really when these hitters are swinging, they're taking very comfortable hacks. They're almost taking like batting practice type hacks. That's how comfortable they do look in the box. And it looks like they almost know what's coming with Bowden Francis. Again, they can kind of sit on that splitter. A lot of the time it has been hanging higher over the plate. He isn't getting it low. The fastball, again, when it plays at 92, 93, and it's not very well located, it is a little bit easier for these hitters, especially experienced hitters like they are on the Philadelphia Phillies with very good pedigrees, to take advantage of this guy. So again, just a very unfortunate start the season for Bowden Francis. And it all really stems from the command issues and giving up 1,000 long balls, it seems like, every single start.
Yeah, you could pretty much bank it. He's going to give up a home run, and well, it was a few today for sure. Obviously, you're facing a good lineup. This Phillies team, it has a really solid lineup. You got Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, JT Realmuto. I mean, you could go down the list. This team just has a lot of capable hitter. That's not even talking about Kyle Schwarber, Bryson Stott, Alec Bonoa. It's a good lineup, and I think we can't forget that when we go over these games. This is a good team that plays good baseball, but I think the Blue Jays might have a chance to win this if it's not an absolute brutal start to this game. So I don't like to ever solely blame any game on one guy. But if it was anybody today, it was Bowden Francis, and I don't like dogging the guy. I like Bowden Francis, and I hope he succeeds. But so far, he just hasn't. And at some point, we got to start acknowledging that he isn't very good right now. And yes, he can go out and have an okay outing, but if you're not being able to go out there and give us 4 innings at least consistently, I I don't know where that leaves you here. And I guess we have some guys coming back, but what do you do with Bowden Francis? Do you just have to suffer through the season and hope he picks it up? Or at what point do they have to try to experiment somewhere else? I don't know. Maybe that's not a conversation maybe for today. And maybe it is a few more starts. And if you hope that he can start turning things around. But right now, Carter, things just don't look good for him. You're 100% right. He cannot find the black to save his life. Everything is right down the middle, or it's missing wide or high, wide, wherever it may be. This guy's location is just not there. And then he, he floats one in the zone to get a strike, and it gets launched a million feet into the air. So just a very tough outing to watch. And I could see a lot of Jays fans just turning the game off because you're like, well, this is over, because we know that sometimes this offense has a tough time fighting back, and 6 runs to fight back from. I can't even blame the offense, even though the offense, I think, could have been better today as well. But at the end of the day, you give up 6 in the first inning, you sort of take your team out of it. We say that the offense sometimes takes the pitching staff out of the game by being not very good, but today it was Bowden Francis taking his offense right out of this game.
Yeah, like you can't blame the offense whatsoever when you're down 6 off rip. Like it's you're expecting your team. It's like an impossible ask to expect your team to come back from that. Just the morality of just being in those games. Obviously, when we played baseball, not even close to the MLB caliber, but that's not even the point we're trying to make here. It's just when you get down so early in any sport. If you're down in basketball, 30 points at the end of the first quarter. In hockey, if you score 4 quick ones. In football, if you give up, maybe you throw 2 pick sixes and they get an offensive touchdown, you have 21-0. It is very hard mentally to keep yourself in that game and to come back from that baseball game, no matter how hot this Jays offense has been. And unfortunately, I like Bowden Francis. He's one of my I'm not gonna say one of my favorite players, but I'm definitely a Bowden Francis guy, and clearly just has not been good enough right now. So I got some very unfortunate stats to go over. This was addressed after this the 6-run inning, the 1-inning blow up. This is from Damon98 on Twitter. Bowden Francis starting pitcher ranks among all of other starters with at least 50 innings pitched. There's 105 qualified starters. The ERA at that point was at 5.91. It's gotten down to 5.84. So again, they've gone down slightly, but again, it's more so the premise of these stats. 5.91. That is 100th out of the 105 qualified starters. FIP of 647. That is dead last. Home runs per 9, 272. That is dead last. Ground ball percentage of 34.5. That's 95th. Hard hit percentage 46.6. That is 94th. And he has an F4 of negative 0.7, which is dead last among starters. And then just again, kind of going over the stats, as a 1.47 whip. That's not going to play whatsoever. Last year in 107 innings, he gave up 17 home runs. He's already given up 17 home runs in 57 innings pitched. He's given up 17 home runs in 57 innings pitched. That's not going to play whatsoever. When you continually give up the long ball, over and over and over again, it's just never going to work as a starting pitcher. And one thing that, again, can sort of attribute to this, obviously there's the command issues, is being over the plate a lot. But I think we kind of saw this a little bit with Kevin Gausman as well, with this splitter. Like Bowden Francis is another splitter pitcher, where we're starting to see, again, when he's missing, especially to these left-handed hitters, he's missing over the plate to the right side. Even the right-handed hitters, he's missing. It seems like he's always missing arm side to that right side part of the plate. And it's just kind of like with the splitter, you want to go straight down. You want to kind of play off your fastball. And that's when we see these guys have the most success, whether it's Eric Swanson, whether it's Kevin Gausman, whether it's Bowden Francis. When you can have that proper pitch tunneling off that splitter and fastball, that's where you see these guys really get the swing and miss and really take advantage of hitters to keep them off balance. With Bowden Francis right now, it's kind of like a cutter, if I want to say that. And maybe it's like a backdoor sinker, not really with that movement, but it's more so of a horizontal breaking pitch rather than a vertical breaking pitch. And a lot of the time when he is missing, he's missing over the plate on that outside part of the plate to left-handed hitters. And that's kind of where I've been seeing him a lot of the time getting taken advantage of. But just overall, that we might need to have this discussion. You said might take another couple starts. I'm ready to have it now. What do we do with Bowden Francis right now? because now it's not just affecting Bowden Francis' start, it's affecting that fifth start that you have. Eric Lauer now obviously was very good again in this game, but when you're down 6-0 after one inning and you try to throw him again, allows another run, it's again, now you've burnt Eric Lauer. Now you have that question mark up for your fifth rotation start. So I think we have to ask this question now. What is this Blue Jays team going to do with Bowden Francis for the near future?
Well, Carter, I mean, the problem is right now is that there's not a ton of options, right? You're seeing Max Scherzer start to get I don't even want to say ramped up. It's 40 pitches. Like again, this is going to be sort of an opener right now. You know, he might get you through 3 at best right now with how he's looking, but then you got to go somewhere. Spencer Turnbull is going to be an option. You would hope fairly soon, but then again, that leaves you in a hole without your fifth starter role. That is where you'd want Turnbull to then show up. But now with Bowden Francis not being good, and maybe it is Buffalo. Maybe you send him to Buffalo and you hope he can just figure things out down there, get the confidence back up, work on some things. But we're sort of out 2 spots right now, and yes, people are coming back, but it's a slow process here. And I don't know. I don't know what the next option is. You pull somebody else up and you give them a shot, and we've seen that work, but only for so long. And we know Alec Bonoa will make his return at some point this season, which is fantastic. He actually made a post just the other day where he looks good. He says he feels good and he's ramping up, which is great. And you want to see Alec Bonoa really get back to prime Alec Bonoa. But for right now, this team is down 2 starters pretty much. And that is a tough hole to ask your offense to show up on those 2 days specifically just to hopefully grab you a win. But I'm not confident right now. And Eric Lauer's looked really good, Carter. I got to shout him out. But the problem is you burn him in a game like this instead of that fifth rotation spot where he could be very useful. But instead he gets burned in a game like this, and now we're screwed. So I don't know. I don't know what the play is. I guess you got to sort of just wait it out until you get Turnbull at the very least.
Yeah, because looking at, again, this AAA roster, there's not really a lot of guys that you can go to here, especially in that starter kind of caliber role. There are some bullpen arms you could go to, but you're not really going to get the length from a lot of these guys like you would from a guy like Bowden Francis. But the unfortunate part about Spencer Turnbull is that it has not been that good in his ramp-up starts. And this guy was playing in Dunedin, Buffalo. Dunedin a lot of the times, playing in Buffalo in his last appearance. Just going over some of his game logs, like a 4 innings pitched, 3 hits. This was best one, and this was his first one. 1 earned run, given up 2 walks, 4 strikeouts on May 21st. He had 3 innings pitched, 5 earned runs, given up 2 strikeouts, 2 walks. May 27th, 4 1/3 innings, 1 earned run, 1 hit batter, 4 strikeouts. And then in this last one in Buffalo, 1 2/3 innings, 2 earned runs, 3 walks, 1 strikeout. Again, just not looking that good, especially, you're going in, like, you're pitching in Dunedin, you're pitching in Buffalo. These are not even close to MLB caliber hitters. So Spencer Turnbull, with the velo being a little bit down from what we've been accustomed to seeing from him last year as well. Normally a 93 kind of guy, and he's been around 91. That 2 miles per hour, especially when you're not necessarily throwing that hard, is a big difference. Again, you have Max Scherzer kind of ramping up. We saw him pitch against Kyle Schwarber before the game. That was, again, a pretty funny blurb that we did get, obviously being former teammates. But with Max Scherzer, again, just you can't really rely on this guy that hasn't seemed to throw more than 45, 50 pitches in about 2.5 months. So if it gets really bad and Bowden Francis continues to struggle, like right now, you're in a bad spot. Like exactly like you said, what do you do? There's not a lot of options, especially when you're having to use Eric Lauer in this Bowden Francis start. Like the only other thing that we can kind of talk about here is, again, it's Yariel Rodriguez. Do you want to move him to that starter role? He's been very effective out of the bullpen, but at some point, if you're not getting starts from anyone on this roster, other than, again, your top 3 guys, Eric Lauer kind of being thrown into the mix, if things go really bad, are you okay with kind of turning to Yariel Rodriguez in a time of need?
No, not really. I love him as the bullpen role, but yeah, if push comes to shove, I guess that might be your option. And again, I'm going to go back to something I said, I don't know, a week and a half ago when we were talking about Max Scherzer. At this point, if he has to throw 30, 40 pitches, bring him back. Get 30, 40 pitches out of Max Scherzer and then go to Yariel Rodriguez. Something to keep a somewhat consistent bullpen starter mix going on here. And I don't know. Like maybe Scherzer comes back and he throws and he's screwed again. But at this point, you're throwing $15 million down the drain anyway. Just give him a try. I don't know. Like, what are you gonna wrap him up for another 2 more months to see if he can throw 60 pitches? Throw him for 40. That I think that's the play here. I hate to say that, but it's either you throw away $15 million and you don't have 2 starters, or you use them for a day and call it a bullpen day after that. And then at least you get Eric Lauer safe for that 5th starting spot, and you keep Yariel Rodriguez feeling great in the bullpen. That's my take. And again, I don't want to be so down on this podcast because a little bit of me felt like a scheduled loss here. And that's why I'm maybe not as upset as as some of you guys maybe are. And there are some good things, and I want to get into some good things, and obviously some injury updates, everything like that, Carter. But I don't know. I don't know what you do here. I think you got to bring Scherzer in. I think you give him 2 more bullpen sessions at some point, and then you got to start phasing him in. If it is for 40, 45 pitches, sucks to suck. You're pitching. We're paying you $15 million, and you're ancient. Get in there and pitch. Do your job.
Yeah, and then obviously there is the Alec Bonoa option, but
Yeah.
you're still waiting a fairly long time for Alec Bonoa. I think at best we'll probably see him if things go ahead of schedule. We'll probably see him in mid-July. That's being a very optimistic guy. I think more likely we'll see him at some point in August. So that's at least 2 months that you're going to have to burn. And one more option, I guess, is Easton Lucas, but we've kind of seen that roller coaster already. Is that going to be much better than Bowden Francis? If it is even better, that is something that the Toronto Blue Jays front office, John Schneider, Ross Atkins, are going to have to obviously discuss and figure out for this baseball team. Because right now, you can't kind of go out there where it is right now in every 5th start. You could say 2 out of the 5 starts. Maybe, again, you can give Eric Lauer a little bit more flowers than Bowden Francis recently. But you can't necessarily be kind of like throwing away 2 games in your rotation, especially if you want to be a productive team and compete for a playoff spot. But again, we do want to get into some positives. Can't go into the negatives entirely, but Bowden Francis obviously was the main theme of this start. Obviously, when you get down 6-0 the first inning, it's going to be very hard to win a baseball game like that. And just one more thing to your point, you kind of said it's a schedule loss. I mean, like when you look at this pitching matchup, yeah, it's not great for the Toronto Blue Jays. It's not that they lost this game, it's how they lost. That's the biggest thing, is that when you get absolutely pumped in the first inning and don't give your team a chance to win whatsoever, it's not like it was a competitive baseball game at all. Like you could have turned this game off, unfortunately, after that middle of the first inning, and you probably would have knew how this game was going to turn out, and it's not going to be well, obviously, for the Toronto Blue Jays.
No, and yeah, scheduled loss. I mean, coming off a 5-game win streak and a sweep, going into a Bowden Francis start. For me, I just had maybe scheduled loss isn't the right thing to say, but in the pit of my stomach going into this game, I'm like, yeah, they're probably not getting this one. And I hate to say that, but some games you can just tell. You just know. And then, yeah, it went the way it did. And maybe that's also why I'm not feeling terrible, because I had 8 innings to get to understand that this was already going to be a loss. So it's tough. It's brutal. But let's move on. Let's talk about some good things. Get into injury updates. And then, Carter, I do want to tell you something because I think you will find something hilarious. So stick around. It's something anyway. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder where did your money go between dining out, online shopping, entertainment? It's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control of your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, spending all in one place, so you just stop managing your money and start actually building wealth. That's a big thing. I talk about like my spending habits sometimes when we're doing this ad. And, and I think the one good thing, or the best part about all of this Monarch Money for me, is that it is a full financial command center. It's not just, you're spending too much on this. No, you can keep track of everything there. And that's a big part of it for me is, with my banking app, and then this app for the credit card, and then this app for that, and this site for that. Monarch Money puts it all together. And that's what makes Monarch Money the best for me, is I can see everything right there blatantly. This is how it works. Go check it out. Give it a try. It is amazing. And the deal is even better. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com. 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB. Half off your first year. Unbeatable deal. Give it a try. When do you ever see 50% off anything? Go give it a try. All right, Carter. Let's talk about some good things. We've talked a ton about Addison Barger and just how good he's been. 4 home runs in 4 games. I'm going to start this off with my boy. Good to see him back. Good to see him actually doing something in a baseball game, hitting a home run. Davis Schneider. Again, he's a fans player, that guy. And I think we all saw that by the jersey sales. I think when their City Connects came out and everything, Davis Schneider's jersey flying off the shelves. Everybody loves this guy, and I think we all want him to do well. And when he shows up and does something, I get really excited. He's a guy that I've loved to watch. Utility player, just sort of a blue collar player, and I think that's why he's easy to like. So yeah, shout out him, I guess. And the response on Twitter seemed to be really good too. So I know his sisters will probably be happy about that one as well.
Yeah, it's nice to see some productive at bats from Davis Schneider. And this isn't for me just as much of like a Davis Schneider conversation. It's just about what we need from some of these players, especially with Varsho and Santander. We're going to need some of these Buffalo guys to step up and have some big games with some of these big guys out. They don't have to necessarily have the sustained production all season long. I don't think you're going to expect Davis Schneider to remain with this team this entire season, especially again when those two guys do come back. But with right now, he's going to get some opportunities, especially against left-handed pitching. I've kind of talked this on the last episode, is setting your players up for success and putting them in scenarios where they're more likely to succeed. David Schneider has just been a whole lot better against lefties versus righties in his career. Again, that just makes a lot of sense. You're a right-handed hitter. Yeah. Most of the time, you're going to be better against a left-handed pitcher. So anytime there is lefties on the mound, you're probably going to see Ernie Clement. You're probably going to see Miles Straw. You're probably going to see David Schneider. When you have flip-flop the other side, Addison Barger, obviously this guy is just in the lineup. There's no other way to look at it, but you're going to have Nathan Lucas against righties a lot of the time. Jonathan Clase will probably throw against righties. So again, you have these platoon options that are available for you. And David Schneider, again, hitting that home run, adding to that confidence, had a very good stretch in AAA before he did come up, hit a few bombs, hit over 300 in his last 10 games. So that was one of the reasons, obviously, they went to a guy like David Schneider. And then with him just having service time already, being around those guys, being in the clubhouse, obviously it's not his first rodeo coming back to this Toronto Blue Jays team. So yeah, just nice to see him putting some good swings on the ball. Had a single earlier on in the game as well. That was a very good at bat. So again, some of those kinds of production that we can get from those David Schneider type players, those Miles Straw type players, Jonathan Clase, wherever it may be, you can get production from these guys, especially in a time where, again, you do have some injuries. A few good games along the line from players like that can go a long way for a successful season for any baseball club.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly what we talked about all season long, and a little bit into the Addison Barger piece of it, right? Is you need to find these diamonds in the rough, these guys to take a step up, to take a step forward, to becoming everyday players. And Addison Barger has done that. And yeah, you're 100% right. You need guys to step into the light here. This has to be a not lights get too bright moment. This has to be these, and I think that's why a good part of this is bringing in a guy like David Schneider instead of somebody else right now. Is a guy that's been through this. He's been through the spotlight. He's been through the everything. So you think the nerves and everything won't be there. So when you bring him back, it's a guy that can just settle into a role, and that's what you need right now with Varsho and Santander out. You need guys that are just can go in there, who have done the job before, who know how to do it, and to see him hit this home run. And I don't know, it's just probably a great feeling for a player too, that you get brought back up and you're able to get something done. Obviously, it doesn't lead to a win. That probably would have raised the confidence a little bit more, but I think between some of these young guys that are doing really well, and Addison Barger leading the pack out of all of them, you got to be pretty happy. You just hope that you can get a little bit sustained success until those two guys come back.
Yeah, and Addison Barger has been absolutely ridiculous, to say the least. 4 home runs in his last 4 games. The last guy to do that on the Toronto Blue Jays was a pretty good hitter. His name's Teoscar Hernandez in 2021. So again, this guy is on a very good run. I'm not sure if it's quite the Josh Donaldson type season that we've seen in the past, but hey, obviously it's been happening right now. Again, you're getting production from a guy like Addison Barger, and he's one of the hottest guys in the league right now at the plate. So I mean, you might as well. We used to talk about the hot hand all the time on this podcast. Keep this guy in the lineup. Hit him. Keep him at that 5 spot. He's been working very well for this Toronto Blue Jays team. And we've talked about it with Addison Barger a lot on this podcast, that he does have the tools to be a very good baseball player. And another thing we talked about a whole lot is that somebody needed to take a step in this offense. We needed somebody from Buffalo to have that Spencer Horwitz type season. Right now, Addison Barger, at least in this little stretch here, these last few games, he has done a whole lot more than Spencer Horwitz has done. we needed somebody to step up. You kind of knew that like who Vladdy was going to be. You thought Bo Bichette was going to have a bounce back season. Again, Santander is a completely separate conversation, but Alejandro Kirk has looked very good since he kind of did in 2022. Would have those kind of silver slugger numbers if Cal Raleigh didn't exist, obviously, in this AL conference here. But Alejandro Kirk's looked great. Bowden Francis, when he's played, looks great. You're getting a lot of production from the bottom of this order. Now having that one guy that can increase the ceiling of this baseball team in Addison Barger, again, we'll have to see how consistent this can be. It's one of those things that Addison Barger, when he came in again into the Toronto Blue Jays clubhouse this year, did not look great. And then obviously right now he's one of the hottest players in the league. You don't necessarily want either end of the spectrum here. Again, you would love to see him do this for an entire season, have that Barry Bonds, Aaron Judge type season, but that's not realistic. We just need him to be productive in the middle of the order, hit a big clutch home runs from time to time, like we have seen him hit, obviously, in this last little stretch here. So with Addison Barger, again, we're trying not to put too much pressure on the guy. Kind of the same thing that people were doing with Will Wagner going into the season.
Yeah.
That small sample size, 25 games last year, where he hit over 300, and they were saying, oh, he's easily the starting second baseman. He'll be with the ball club, and kind of look where Will Wagner is now. That's not really a shot at Will Wagner. That's just the sentiment of not putting too much pressure on a guy like Addison Barger, on a younger guy like whether it's Will Wagner, Joey Loperfido, whether it's Orelvis Martinez, if and when he does come up to this baseball team, Jake Bloss. So Addison Barger, the biggest thing for him is just he's got to stay calm at the plate and just not get too big for the moment. Just continue to do what he has been doing.
Yeah, and I think he's that type of guy. I don't think he sees the spotlight. I think he's out there, and when he's playing, he's doing a job. He doesn't seem like a guy that's going to get distracted. So I think that's a good thing. You can sort of see it in players sometimes, right? Guys who want the spotlight, that are going to be looking for it. He's just a guy that seems like he's out there doing his job. And I love that with some players. So Addison Barger, hat tips to him for what he's been doing. Besides those two guys, Carter, really not a whole lot to talk about. We will have to talk about Andres Gimenez again at some point, even though it's going to pain me to do so. I don't think this guy is good. He's good defensively. That's great. But even at that, I thought Ernie Clement did a fine job over there too. So for the production that he's going to give you, maybe we save that for another day, Card. Maybe you guys can talk about that when I'm away next week so that I don't have to talk about Andres Gimenez.
Yeah, it has not been a fun experiment with Andres Gimenez. Like you said in the last episode, other than those 4 games to start the season where, I mean, we thought he was going to be the next coming of Christ for that little bit, even though that obviously did not happen. But I mean, yeah, like you said, other than David Schneider and Addison Barger, you had a single from Bo Bichette that got between the first and second baseman. Like, other than that, you didn't really have a whole lot from this game. Christopher Sanchez looked pretty good. Obviously, I thought they might be able to take advantage of a left-handed pitcher. They got 3 runs off, not off of him, but in the game. I thought that, again, might be okay. Not necessarily in the Bowden Francis start, but in general, Christopher Sanchez, again, that sinker changeup combination has kept hitters off balance for like the last 3 seasons. So you kind of expected him to give you a good run for your money. But yeah, just a little bit of an unfortunate loss just because, again, the way it happened. If it was a more competitive baseball game, I don't think I'd be as upset about it. But the main, obviously, storyline from this is what to do with Bowden Francis. So leave your comments in the comment section. Leave your opinions, your perspective on what to do with this guy. Is this a Yariel Rodriguez fix? Is this something you leave until Spencer Turnbull comes back? Do you kind of rush Max Scherzer back? Are you going to Issa Lucas? There's a lot of things you can do with this starting rotation spot. So we're very curious of what your fix is for this team, because the way things are going right now, you cannot really keep throwing Bowden Francis out every 5th day and expect to be taken seriously as a baseball team. As much as I do love Bowden Francis, it's just not going well, obviously, with the long ball issues, the mechanical issues, the command. There's a bunch of things that we have gone into and can continue to go into. But with Bowden Francis, you guys got to hope that he can find himself and be somewhere between where he is right now and where he was at the end of that 2024 season. But we still have, obviously, a game 2 preview, some injury stuff to go over as well for this last segment. So we're going to get into that after this short break.
Yeah, I got something fun for you too. So just wait when we come back.
Yeah, you're really excited about this fun. So hopefully the rest of you guys are as well. I have no idea what this guy's scheming is. Probably going to be kind of dumb. The Brady Nowasco kind of, how do I fix the Toronto Blue Jays? I think kind of segment coming up. We'll be right back after this break. Today's episode is sponsored by Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site that's made for the skilled trades, supplyhouse.com. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the most reliable way to order products online. The easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so they always talk to a real person. And for the trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM. Start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That is SH5 for 5% off your first order, and that is at supplyhouse.com.
So, dude,
I guess I'll let you start off here because you're too excited for this. I kind of jumped in here, obviously, but yeah, just I guess I'll give you the floor here. I don't really know what to expect, but maybe we'll lighten the mood a little bit after not the most fun baseball game to watch.
Yeah, you know what? I thought after this Blue Jays loss, I thought, oh, this will be interesting for the people to know. I I think about where we are as the Toronto Blue Jays, and then I look at what the Colorado Rockies did last night. They have finally, of all season long, won their first series against the Miami Marlins. They're going for a sweep later today as you guys are watching this. Their first series win of the season, their 11th win of the season.
I was going to say, they just got out to the double-digit mark. They were like 9-50, I think. We thought the White Sox were bad last season. Like, the Colorado Rockies are trying to break their record that they just set because it's not going well over there. Like, just looking at some of their guys that they thought would turn out, that's not going too well. Like, there's like Ryan McMahon, I guess, is something to get. Like, there's not a lot going well for Rockies fans. If you're a Rockies fan listening somehow to this podcast, what do you have to be excited about? Like, what do you look like? Get up in the morning, look like, oh, I'm excited to watch this in this Rockies game today. Like, I would love to know that and love the perspective from a Rockies fan. I guess like when we look at this Toronto Blue Jays team, you can always think they're lucky stars that at least we're not Rockies fans, we're not White Sox fans, we're not Athletics fans. Again, you can kind of go down the list with these teams.
Yeah, and maybe this will be a day. June 3rd will be circled on calendars for Rockies fans because it's the first day they won a series all season. So who knows? Maybe they'll be looking at that next year and be like, "Oh, can we win a series before June 3rd?"
Yeah, cue the sweep on the Toronto Blue Jays when the Jays play the Colorado Rockies this season.
Just kind of like we did this.
Just because it's because the Miami Marlins series last year. Again, this was the last series of the year, so there's not a lot for Blue Jays to play for. When you had 2 wins, it felt like the entire season, but you get swept by the Marlins. Maybe that happens for the Colorado Rockies. Please, God, no. I don't know how I'm going to make it through that series if that does happen. But there is some injury updates that I do want to get into, obviously, before we do kind of preview the second game of the series. Obviously, as you guys saw, this is just some roster moves. Andres Gimenez reinstated to the team, obviously played in this game. And then Tyler Heineman reinstated from the 7-day IL for concussion symptoms. Michael Stefanik and Ali Sanchez designated for assignment. Oh, no. What are we ever going to do? So that's kind of where we're at with that. Good news on Max Scherzer's from Keegan Matheson after facing hitters. He is on track to pitch in either the Florida Complex League or a sim game in Florida on this Sunday coming up. After that, he'd be set for a formal rehab assignment. So again, we're getting maybe closer. Again, I'm not really reading a ton into these articles, unfortunately. My take in April age, like fine wine, even though I didn't want it to. I said Max Scherzer's not going to pitch in May. We might not see him pitch in June. So I have no idea what's going on with Max Scherzer. That is the update that we did get. Again, kind of was joking around with Kyle Schwarber before as he was kind of, throwing some live at-bats. Schwarber stepped in the box jokingly. Obviously, they have a little bit of a relationship there. But hopefully we can see Max Scherzer at some point. He got to 40 pitches per Hazel May again. As soon as he's got to get to 60 for me to even blink an eye at this. So we'll have to see, obviously, what happens. But Max Scherzer, a quote Max Scherzer, he says, "I still have to be in a controlled environment." So that's, again, not exactly what you want to hear if you want this guy to, come to your aid as a Toronto Blue Jays fan. Anthony Santander got a PRP injection in his shoulder to help speed up the healing process. So he'll probably be down for about a week and then obviously make some make a rehab assignment as well. Just some other guys. Nick Sandlin felt good after pitching an inning in the Florida Complex League. Will Wagner playing the Florida Complex League. So if you continue to get injuries on the Blue Jays team, maybe we see Will Wagner once again. The Jays are hoping that Alec Bonoa will progress to live batting practice within the next week. And then the Spencer Turnbull Last one here is he's still working through some mechanical stuff. Obviously, we can kind of tell from the stat lines, unfortunately. Will make another AAA start. And that is pretty much it for the injury updates. Ryan Bird, nothing really on him. Hopefully, expecting to hear news on him by the end of the week. Will somehow get inserted into this bullpen, most likely, I believe. So we'll have to see, obviously, how that does work. With this Toronto Blue Jays team, bullpen isn't really the issue right now. It's obviously the starting rotation. And then maybe there is still some questions about the consistency of the offense. But Braden, do you got anything to react to about those injuries? Or I'll just give you the floor to kind of preview this second game of the series.
Yeah, nothing really. I mean, it's updates. It's stuff that we've sort of understand. We understand where almost everybody is in this process. It's nobody immediate coming back. So no, nothing overly interesting anyway to say about those. It is what it is. Now it's game two. The Blue Jays, this is one we said is the one we hope they take. Mick Abel versus Jose Barrios. This is one they hopefully will take advantage of. A young guy, young starter, rookie in the league, making starts here. So hopefully you can get to him quick here. He's 1-0 in the season,
Yeah, he
0
pitched against the
ERA.
Pirates.
Yeah, it was 6. He has 6 innings. That's it. So you just got to assume that he isn't acclimated, and hopefully you get to him. Now, do they have anything on him to understand what he's going to throw where? That's going to be an interesting piece to see how they go at each at bat. That'll be something to watch in this one for sure. We've seen guys like Easton Lucas come in uh, teams didn't have stats on him. They didn't understand where to watch for pitches, what he's going to throw, how much stuff breaks. So you're going to have to hope that the Toronto Blue Jays have something on Mick Abel here as well, so they can get to him quickly.
Yeah, this is, I think, a kind of a turning point in this series. If you lose this game, I don't know how optimistic I'm going to be about the Toronto Blue Jays winning on that Thursday game. Again, you do got the Hound on the mound. But you got Jesus Luzardo. He has been unbelievable this season. So, again, not exactly the game I want to put my faith in. But, again, with this Toronto Blue Jays team, these next two games, I've been asking for it. Just want competitive baseball. You got to win one game. Obviously, in the series, you can't get swept after sweeping the Oakland Athletics. Again, I'm going to continue to call them the Oakland Athletics. I don't really care who comments in the comment section, but yeah. So you just need something, obviously, from the series. I can't blame the offense. Can't blame really anyone in this game other than Bowden Francis. Just unfortunately how it went. You just got to hope for better things for the rest of this Phillies series, and just again, just stay in the baseball game for more than half an inning. That might help this team a little bit in the long run.
Yeah, as always, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back with you tomorrow. I only got 2 more podcasts left here before I'm away for a week, but Carter's got some great guests coming on the show, so make sure you guys do. Tell them how good of a job they did. Let them know that you appreciate them filling in for me, at least when I'm away, because it does help. I'm going to hopefully try to be on some of these, even if I'm getting up at 4 a.m. I'm going to try some days, unless I've really outdid myself drinking wise, but I will try to be on the podcast anyway, hopefully from a boat or a something one day. But thanks, guys. As always, leave your comments, your thoughts, your feelings down below. We want to hear your guys' takes on Bowden Francis, what should be done, and we'll be back with you guys tomorrow.